Through the dusk of golden sky, summer rain begins to ease my mind.
Thank you so much for making time for me. I know it's been a crazy schedule with the Toronto International Film Festival. How has it been for you since you've been here, seeing the film, hearing your music? What's the experience been like so far?
Well, I love Toronto, so it's incredibly it's amazing to be here, and our screening is tonight, so I'm very excited about that. And it's been an incredible journey. You know, working on this film has been a complete labor of love. The director, her vision, she's been steadfast with it, and it's just been, for me, incredible to be a part of this. As a composer and executive producer, I'm just stoked. I'm very excited.
How did you get involved with this project?
Well, I met the lead producer, Bronwyn Cornelius, who introduced me to the script. Initially, I read the script, and then she introduced me to the director, Chinonye, and it just resonated with me on so many levels. In terms of personal journey, that the lead character that Alfie Wood plays, Bernadine, she plays the warden in a situation that is her rite of passage with death row, and what that entails in terms of the effect it ultimately has on her and her life. And it just made me aware of a lot of the times we all fracture ourselves to deal with other things. And meanwhile, you're still having to deal with the emotional undertow of anything that's challenging and traumatizing. So the prison system as a subject matter in general has always been something that's been troubling to me. And then the inner journey of this character, the warden, is remarkable. The way in which Chinonye wrote about it and then, directed it. It's very, very, it's a very intense and beautifully told movie. One of
the reasons why I love speaking with composers is because the artwork that you folks have to create, I think, is amazing, especially because you've already got the story done, the visual is done, and then you have to create another feeling towards that to help enhance everything that's going on. What was the approach for you in doing that for this, especially because it's so sensitive?
Well, everything you said is very true. And I think I always look at music as a storytelling element. It's conversation. So it's very organic for me. I let the footage and I let the visual component, I let all of it sort of start this conversation with me. And I then begin to pick up on, it's very instinctual, and I trust that. Also, of course, I get notes from the director in terms of what they're looking for to enhance the environment of that story. For instance, Chinonye was very, very clear that she did not want the music to ever overstate the emotion, and she did not want the music to be this component that distracted. And, in fact, she wanted very, very little music, so the score is quite sparse, but we use it to elevate some of the internal dynamic that Bernadine is experiencing. So it was quite a journey to find the actual sonic tone for the movie, because it had not been, when the edit was complete, there had been no music. Typically, when you have a movie, you cut to music. And this was reliant so much on the inner journey of Bernadine that the director didn't want music to give any sort of insight as to what that might be. So I ended up using some vocal textures and some ambient textures. And I also have a song in the movie that I felt further enhanced one of the one of the scenes that Bernadine is confronting, where her personal life has sort of begun to shatter. But in general, the music, each movie, each project is different. But in this case, it was very, very important that the music not interfere with the barren and sparse environment and the harsh environment of being in prison. That there's no outlet for emotional gratification. So the music, this is a very, very subtle way of scoring, which I really appreciated, because I like for the honesty of the story to come through. And sometimes music, while it can serve that, sometimes it can also obstruct it.
How did you get into this business in composing? It's not always like when you're growing up, you're going to go, hey, I'm going to be a composer. It's something that builds up over the years, from the love of music to the artistic direction of music. How did it start for you?
Well, I've always enjoyed, I think I just came in this way. My mother was an incredible pianist, a concert pianist, and she would just play for hours in our house, and she taught piano, and she was also an incredible composer and singer. So I grew up in a very musical environment and started creating my own songs and ideas when I was very, very young. I was like, I think 3 or 4 when I started playing piano. So I always was making up sort of sonic storytelling on the piano, and that led to a curiosity about how to work with other platforms of self-expression, whether it's theater, film, dance. And so I think it was always just an instinctual part of how I'm wired, which is seeing music as conversation, seeing it as storytelling, whether you're singing, whether you're composing, whether it's just instrumental. It's just an outlet that I've always needed. And I just decided to approach film scoring because when I moved to Los Angeles, I was fortunate to get a Sundance Fellowship for film scoring, where you're put in an environment and you're mentored by extraordinarily talented, A-list composers who nurture you and give you constructive criticism. And I think that was the beginning of my desire to become more involved with a career as a film composer.
You said something earlier, you kind of said it again, which I think is very important for anybody who wants to become a composer. It is understanding the people that you're working with and the film. How do you balance that when you hear or feel one thing, but the folks that you're working with hear and feel something else, to come together to find exactly what's going to work for the film?
Well, it's collaboration, and so you have to give and take, So if they're hearing a particular sonic backdrop, because often they've been living with a temp track, which is music they've cut the film to, and so that's what they've been hearing in their head for a long time, and sometimes they don't even know what they want. So you have to really be open. You have to be open to the fluidity of collaboration, and sometimes they know very specifically what they want, and it helps to have a range of an awareness of genre and expression. But I think the main goal for me and what I realize is that you're there as part of a team to get that story told. So if the director has a vision that's completely different than yours, you just you figure it out. You work through it. You work through a variety of ideas until you hit the right tone. And also, if you feel that sometimes you feel, oh, my art is not being heard correctly, well, then do your art apart from that film. Do you in your autonomy when you're able to do so. But when you're working on a film, you're there to serve the vision of the director. and they'll hire me for my input, but ultimately I have to be respectful of what they're looking for.
What are the plans for the future now that we have this, as you said, being screened tonight at the Toronto International Film Festival? What's the future looking for you right now? Do you have other films? Are we looking at television shows? What's going to be happening?
I have a couple of things coming up, some that I'm not at liberty to discuss at the moment. But I have some lovely opportunities. I'm going to be working with a great director, Sam Pollard. He's doing an HBO movie about African-American visual artists. So I'm going to work with him on that. And I'm also working on my record. I'm a singer and a songwriter, so I'm finally in the studio working on that. And I'm going to be releasing that in the spring. And we'll love to share that with you and your listeners when that's done. And what else am I doing? I'm just taking a moment at a time. That's really the best thing to do that I realize more and more. You have your plans, and then there's also a flow of things that happen on your behalf as well. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Looking forward to everything that you're doing. Social media is the place to go to look for you. Where do we follow you?
You can go to my website, KathrynBostic.com, KATHRYN, B as in boy, OSTIC, and it has all my social media right there. And I'd love to hear from everyone. And I appreciate your support very much. And I'm really happy to be here. I know I'm sniffing because the air is, I'm in Toronto, and there's like humidity and been raining off and on, and that's so rare in Los Angeles where I live that my sinuses are like, oh my God, what's happening? And I love it. I'm like, oh, okay, air.
Yeah, I got to apologize for this weather. It's crazy. It's 1 second it's cold, then it's raining, then it's sunny, then it's cloudy, then it's, I don't know what's going on. This is the weirdest spring going to fall I've ever seen. But we are thrilled that you are here and thrilled with the work that you've done and looking forward to everything you're doing in the future. Thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
A state of grace.